My mother's memorial service, 1 year after she passed. The family gathered at my father's mansion, the house I grew up in, the house Marcus inherited. After the speeches, after the tears, my father stood up. He looked fragile, confused. Marcus helped him to his feet. Then my father read something, a letter Mother wrote before she died. To my beloved son Marcus, it began. You have always been the one to carry on the family legacy. The business is yours. The house is yours. You have my complete trust. He paused, looked at me. Everyone looked at me. Then he continued. To my daughter Lauren, who was always so creative, so artistic, I leave my jewelry box and this photograph. May you always remember the happy times. Vanessa, Marcus's wife, handed me a small box and a framed photo. The photo was of Marcus and my parents on vacation in Hawaii. I wasn't in it. I was 17 that year, left behind because someone had to watch the house. Vanessa smiled that smile, the one that says she's won. It's so sweet, she whispered loudly. She wanted you to have memories. You were always so good at creating things, not so much at business. The room nodded, agreed. The creative daughter gets memories. The business son gets everything else. I took the photo. I took the jewelry box. I smiled, and I said, "Thank you, Vanessa. I'll treasure this forever." They had no idea. They had absolutely no idea what I was about to do. I smiled through the rest of that afternoon. I thanked everyone. I let Vanessa air kiss me twice. I even posed for family photos where I stood at the edge half out of frame, just like always, just like my whole life. Then I went home to my tiny apartment, sat on my secondhand couch, and stared at that photograph for 3 hours. Not crying, not this time, just thinking, remembering. 32 years of being second. 32 years of watching Marcus get everything while I got excuses. Marcus got the best private schools. I got public school because art students don't need fancy education. Marcus got a new BMW at 16. I got his old Honda at 18 with a broken air conditioner. Marcus's college tuition was paid in full, 4 years at Wharton. I was told art school isn't practical and took out loans I'm still paying. Marcus sat at the adult table during holidays, learning business. I sat at the kids' table until I was 25. Marcus got the company. I got to watch. But here's what they never understood. When you're the one left out, you learn to watch, really watch. You learn to listen when they think you're not paying attention. You learn to remember every detail, every name, every number they drop when they're comfortable. And Marcus and Vanessa, they were very comfortable around me. I was just the artistic sister, the one who draws pretty pictures, the one who doesn't understand business. They talked about everything in front of me, deals, numbers, problems, secrets. Then there was Mother. 5 years I spent with her, driving her to chemo, sitting by her bed, holding her hand while she slept. And she talked. She talked about everything, the business, the family, the past. She thought I wasn't listening because I was always sketching. She thought I was just the artistic daughter, dreaming in colors. I was listening. I was recording, not on paper, in my head. Every name, every date, every secret she thought was safe with a dying woman. One night, about a month before she died, she told me something interesting. "Your grandfather," she whispered, "he loved you, Lauren, really loved you. He wanted you to have something special. He set up a trust, a separate trust, before your father changed everything. He told me once, years ago, that land is for Lauren, he said. Don't let them forget." I asked her what land. She just smiled and fell asleep. That was the last time she was lucid. I never got to ask again, but I never forgot. After Mother died, I started digging. Not obvious digging, smart digging. I'm a graphic designer. I know how to find things online. Public records, county clerk databases, old newspaper archives. It took 6 months, but I found it. A parcel of land, waterfront, 37 acres, bought in 1985 by my grandfather for $47,000. Current value? $15 million at least, and it was held in a separate trust, the Lauren Hayes Trust, established 1985, funded 1986, never touched, never mentioned, completely forgotten. But here's the beautiful part. The trust had a clause, a weird clause. My grandfather was a strange man. The clause said, "This trust shall remain secret until such time as the beneficiary is publicly and formally excluded from any family business decision or inheritance. Upon such exclusion, the trust becomes immediately active and irrevocable." He knew. He knew they would do this to me. He planned for it. 30 years ago, he planned for this moment. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't hire a lawyer. I didn't wave documents around. I just waited. Let them get comfortable. Let them think I was just the sad sister with her photograph and her jewelry box. I went to every family dinner, every holiday, every event. I smiled at Marcus's jokes. I complimented Vanessa's outfits. I even let her make comments about my clothes, my job, my life. Still designing logos, Lauren? How cute. I smiled every time because every smile was another page in the file I was building. Then came the announcement. Hayes Enterprises was doing their biggest project ever. Waterfront luxury development, condos, shops, a marina. They needed investors, big investors. They scheduled a launch gala at the Ritz. Marcus was going to be Developer of the Year. Vanessa was planning the social event of the season. My father, confused but proud, was going to be wheeled out as the legacy. And me? I got an invitation too. A pink envelope, Vanessa's handwriting. "For family," she wrote, "even the artistic ones. Wear something nice. I can help you shop if you need." I RSVP'd yes, and I started making copies. But I didn't just make copies of the trust. That would be too simple, too easy. I did something smarter. I hired a lawyer, a good one, not local, 3 states away. I had him draft something, a development proposal, my development proposal, for the same land, better design, greener, more community-focused. I used my graphic design skills to make it beautiful. Renderings, floor plans, environmental impact studies. I made it look like I'd been planning this for years, because I had been. Then I found investors, quietly, people who'd been looking for waterfront opportunities, people who'd been turned down by Marcus because he was too busy to return their calls. I met them in coffee shops, in hotel lobbies, in places no one would recognize me. I showed them my proposal, my land, my vision. They loved it. They committed. $20 million in pre-sales, letters of intent, signed, sealed, ready. The night of the gala arrived, the Ritz ballroom, crystal chandeliers, champagne flowing, a red carpet, Marcus in a tuxedo that cost $10,000, Vanessa in a gown that probably cost $15,000, my father in a wheelchair, dressed up, smiling blankly at strangers. The mayor was there, 2 state senators, every real estate investor in the city. I walked in wearing a simple black dress, nice but not too nice. No one noticed me. I stood at the back, near the bar, holding a leather portfolio. Inside, everything. Marcus gave his speech. Vision, legacy, family values. Vanessa cried on cue. Photos were taken, then they opened the floor for questions. A reporter asked about the waterfront development. Marcus beamed. "This is our crowning achievement," he said. "We've secured all necessary parcels. The land is ready. Construction begins in 60 days. I raised my hand. Not high, just enough. Marcus saw me. His smile flickered. "Yes, Lauren, this is for investors, not family." I smiled and said, "Oh, I have an investor question, specifically about Parcel 7, the key waterfront parcel, the one that connects everything. Do you have clear title to that land?" The room went quiet. Marcus laughed nervously. "Of course we do. Our legal team has done extensive due diligence." I opened my portfolio, pulled out the first page. "Actually, Marcus, your legal team missed something. That parcel has been in a separate trust since 1985, the Lauren Hayes Trust, named after me, established by our grandfather, funded in 1986, never touched, never transferred, and under the terms of the trust, it became active and irrevocable the moment you publicly excluded me from the family business, which I believe happened at Mother's memorial service, when you gave me a photograph instead of a seat at the table." Marcus's face went white. Vanessa stopped breathing. Investors started whispering, pulling out phones. I pulled out more pages. I have the original trust documents, county certified, dated, notarized. I also have a development proposal of my own for the same land with $20 million in pre-sales already committed. And I have letters of intent from investors who reached out to Hayes Enterprises first, but were ignored because Marcus was too busy being Developer of the Year. Marcus grabbed the papers from my hand, flipped through them. His hands were shaking. This is impossible," he stammered. "Dad would have told me. Dad would have—" He looked at our father. Our father just stared blankly, confused, unreachable. But then he smiled, a small smile, a knowing smile, and he nodded. Just once, at me. He remembered. In that moment, he remembered exactly what his father had done 30 years ago. I walked over to my father's wheelchair, knelt down, took his hand. "Thank you, Dad," I whispered, "for not forgetting." He squeezed my hand, just once. Then his eyes went cloudy again. But that squeeze was enough. That was everything. I stood up, turned to the crowd. "Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for interrupting your evening, but I thought you should know that the key parcel for this development is not owned by Hayes Enterprises. It's owned by me. And I haven't decided who I'm going to partner with. Maybe Marcus, maybe my own investors, maybe neither. I'll be accepting proposals over the next 30 days. Have a lovely evening." I walked out of that ballroom with my head high. No one stopped me. No one escorted me anywhere. The silence behind me was beautiful. Perfect. I got in my old Honda with the broken AC and drove home. My phone started buzzing before I reached my apartment. Messages, dozens of them. Investors, reporters, lawyers. Marcus called 14 times. Vanessa left 3 voicemails, each one more desperate than the last. I didn't answer. Not yet. The next morning, the news broke. Hayes development in jeopardy. Secret trust revealed. Sister holds key parcel. Marcus's face was on every screen, but not the way he wanted. Vanessa's Instagram went silent. My phone kept ringing. I answered one call. My lawyer. We had a plan. We'd had it for months. Stage 2 was about to begin. I didn't just want the land. I wanted them to understand. So I did something they'd never expect. I offered Marcus a deal. A public meeting, mediated, with investors watching. He agreed. He had no choice. The meeting was at a hotel conference room full of lawyers, investors, reporters. Marcus sat across from me, looking exhausted. Vanessa sat beside him, for once not saying a word. I laid out my terms. "Here's how this works," I said. "I will lease the land to Hayes Enterprises for 99 years at a fair market rate. You get your development. I get steady income. But there are conditions. First, I get a seat on the board. Not an honorary seat, a voting seat. Second, all future developments must include a community arts fund named after me. Third, at every company event, there will be a photograph, a family photograph with me in it, front and center, not at the edge, not half out of frame, front and center." Marcus started to argue. Vanessa tried to speak. I held up my hand. "Those are the terms. Take them or leave them. If you leave them, I develop the land myself with my own investors, and I build something that makes your development look like a strip mall. Your choice." The room was silent. Marcus looked at Vanessa. Vanessa looked at her hands. Finally, Marcus nodded. "We accept." Today, the development is moving forward. I'm on the board. I have an office, a real office, not the small one they used to put me in during holidays, a corner office with windows. The Community Arts Fund is already funding projects, and at every company event, there's a photograph, a family photograph, with me front and center. I have copies. I send one to Marcus every year, just in case he forgets. Vanessa doesn't make comments about my clothes anymore. Marcus returns my calls. My father is in a nice facility, and I visit him every week. Sometimes he knows me, sometimes he doesn't. But every time before I leave, I show him the original trust document, the one his father signed 30 years ago. He always smiles, a small smile, like he remembers, like he's proud, like he knew all along that the artistic daughter would be the one to save everything. So, what did I learn from all this? Being underestimated is the greatest gift you can receive. Because when they're not watching you, they're not hiding from you. They show you exactly who they are. They tell you their secrets. They forget you exist. And while they're busy being the face of the company, you're busy building the foundation they didn't even know existed. The foundation your grandfather built for you 30 years ago. My name is Lauren Hayes. I'm a graphic designer. I'm a board member. I'm the one who wasn't in the photograph. And that photograph Vanessa gave me at Mother's Memorial, It's still on my shelf, right next to the original trust, right next to the framed article about the development, right next to the newest family photo, the one with me front and center. A reminder that sometimes the best revenge is just being patient enough to let them forget you, because when they forget you, they remember who they really are, and then you remind them who you've always been. Thanks for listening.